Welcome to another CEO Spotlight. I'm Casey O'Day from WPTI, and you hear me talk about him, and you hear him. It's Jason Bramblett from, well, Jason.
Yeah.
I only have to sit there and say that. That's the best part, because you are the masthead for what you guys do over there. And over at Jason Bramblett and Associates, you guys have an immense amount of staff there. I went to one of your staff meetings the other day. What is it you guys do in the morning to make sure that your team's able to go out and continue to perform as you guys do here in the Triad, #1, by the way?
Yeah, so the key is, setting the proper expectation. Just, if you don't set that proper expectation in the morning, then by lunch, everybody's lost focus. And so that's how we start every single day, with an itinerary of what is the goal, what is the team goal, but then also what is that individual person's goal. And putting that, just putting that right, play, and set that expectation of these are the steps you need to conquer today in order to get you through to your goal. And then what I do is I combine all of those and really kind of project out what our company will do over the next, day, week, month, year. And really just starting it off with a positive frame of mind and having a plan. I find so many people in sales have no plan. They just wake up and react to everything that's going on.
What is going on? Let's talk about the real estate market in the Triad. And you and I have had conversations about how it differs from other places in North Carolina, right, but also how you guys actually break down the various areas of the Triad.
Yeah.
Anyone who's talking about just the market as a whole is probably trailing you guys.
Yeah. So the great thing about the Triad is we are a large market. The downside from a management standpoint is, every neighborhood is different, and real estate still is that old cliche of location, location, location. So you can have parts of the real estate world in one city doing phenomenal, and then then they decide to put a highway in.
Right.
It kind of shakes things up.
Or to decide to wait to put a highway in
yes.
for 10 years, as folks in Winston have been dealing with.
That's exactly right. And so all of those things we have to look at and have to factor in. And so the marketing plan for someone that's in a highway zone and factoring in all the variables of construction and traffic delays and road closings and all that, that marketing plan may be much different than your person that's, over on the east side of Greensboro that has none of those factors at all. And so we look at the data for each specific city, but then school district, and then also neighborhood, and you really just break that down to figure out exactly what is the best target to reach for that particular home. And so it's just a lot of analytics come together to give us all that data.
We got it a little easier in the world of radio. Get to roll in the morning show.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. Nobody really cares how you're dressed because they don't have to get there as early.
Right.
But when I think of a real estate agent, I'll give you a story. I participated in a golf tournament, not yours, which an event I did with you one time, but one in Durham. And I thought it was very funny because I pull into the parking lot and it's nothing but the Lexus SUVs.
Right.
And it's that image that real estate agents think they have to have. But at the end of the day, there's so many agents, as we saw in 2008. Yeah. It definitely separated who's real about this. So how do you determine the agents that work in your team are the cream of the crop versus everybody else? Because now a lot of people are getting back into the business as real estate picks up in various parts of the state.
They are. Nothing proves these old sayings. All ships rise with the tide. Real estate's no different. And so we see home values go up when home values go up, and we see a flock of real estate agents hit the market when things are good. When things shift, the other saying's true, all the rats will jump off the ship, right?
Yeah.
Because they know what's coming. And we'll see it again. It's just a cycle. The interesting thing about the cycles is now they're much faster. And so we've got people staying in their homes for shorter periods of time than ever before. People are switching jobs and careers more than they ever have in their in history. And then we have a whole demographic of the millennial movement that really doesn't care about owning a property. So we are definitely going to see a shift in the real estate market, even with inventory at an all-time record low in the United States, interest rates at an all-time low in the past 11 years. Interesting statistic we have in the Triad is we're still seeing home values drop. And so you would think you'd see price increases, but a couple weeks ago I ran a report over 480 something homes put on the market that week, and there were 418 price adjustments down. And so, you know, you look at those stats and you think, wow, that's just like jumbo shrimp. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
But it is an indicator that the market is going to shift back down. It always, you know, it ebbs and flows. That's what keeps money and capital moving. But, you know, in order to make sure that we have the best agents, one, you know, we look for a couple things. We look for discipline. That's one of the key things you have to be successful in sales. If you do not have discipline, you will fail. You have to have a high level of integrity. You know, you have to be able to uphold other people's property value, their goals above yours, right? And really the other thing is I want to see if they've succeeded on a team at a high level. So have they played college sports at a high level? Have they been a captain? You know, can they come in our sandbox and play by our rules, right? And so those are the key things I look for. But when you put all three of those together, you end up with a fantastic, you know, unit of people. Not everybody in the military can be Navy SEALs.
Sure.
Not every single person in real estate can be on our team. You know, we're not looking for mass numbers in infantry. We're looking for the best of the best. And so it takes a while to find those folks, but when you get them, it's fantastic.
Technology impacts everybody in every industry. We're sitting in a radio station right now. We've had a huge, basically since the 90s, evolution of how we do things.
Sure.
I know that there has been an evolution for you guys, but the one I want to talk about is this: I can go online, I can click a few boxes, and my home's sold, versus going out and talking to an agent. Yeah. There's so many people out there that are advertising that service now. Yeah. Explain why a traditional agent such as yourself and your team versus that are different, and then how do you compete with that as the guy in charge of keeping this company going?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we have so the lingo, everything's got a lingo, right? Yeah. So the iBuyer world is what we're talking about, and so, you know, it is a shifting thing. Is corporate America has been wanting to get into the real estate market forever. What it has hindered them from doing that is technology. They had no way in which to infiltrate themselves between the client and the broker until the internet, until the web, until websites. Now they've realized that really the house selling doesn't make any difference. Whoever controls the information, you know, controls the market, right? And it can dictate where that business flows by capturing that business before it gets to the real estate broker. That's how it started. Then they decided, well, that's great. We can earn a little bit of money by referring these people to real estate companies, but what if we just bought the house directly and just bypassed the whole entire process? And so we have companies that are stepping in now and that are doing that. You know, it's early. What we're seeing right now is very competitive amongst themselves. So the top companies are fighting for that market share. In my opinion, they're overpaying for the properties to establish, to change that behavior of the consumer. So they're offering really a really high fair market value for the property in order to shift the mindset of the consumer to say, hey, we're a really good option for you. The numbers I look at, that's not sustainable, but they also are getting their backing from Wall Street, and so it's running on a different metric. They're not looking at, hey, I need to make money on this house to win. They just need to make sure stock value goes up. Stock value goes up, people buy more stock, more cash. And so eventually it will, there's going to be a trade here. So my thinking is if the stock market crashes, it wipes out all those players because they run out of capital.
Right.
And so we'll see. The stock market has been great for a lot of years. If we have a rundown on the market, let's just say it did drop 5,000 points, that'll be the litmus test for that model. It really will.
And the long game, though, with that model is, well, it's like anything else. You offer great deals at first.
Yeah.
So the evolution there is if you change enough consumer buying habits and folks are comfortable with the click and be done with it attitude,
yep,
then I feel like those offers aren't going to be where they are.
They probably won't. And there's going to be, there's always a certain percentage of any group of people that are willing to, willing to pay the price. You know, look at convenience. You know, look how much money we pay for convenience. You know, you can go to Sam's or Costco and buy, 48 waters for $3. Yet we'll walk in the next gas station down the street and buy one bottle for $2. And so we pay for that convenience. And we always have as consumers, and we still will. There will always be a certain demographic out there that will take advantage of that system because of the convenience that they're getting. It's one phone call, one showing, I'm done. Yeah, I didn't get top dollar, but I didn't have any of the hassle. And there's folks out there. It's the same way if you look at the travel agent industry. That industry changed 25 years ago.
Right.
There's still a certain percentage of consumers, though, that want to make one phone call, that want to call one travel person, let them do it all. They're not going to go to the kayaks and all these safari and what are they, hot wires, these discounted websites to deal with every single aspect themselves of planning that vacation. So there will be a percentage that are going to migrate toward that iBuyer, that instant offer thing. How we've combated it is, well, we just do it. We just, if you can't beat them, you join them, right? So we have our own iBuyer program, and so we have a holding company. We will actually step in and buy the property as well. And so now they have multiple offers to look at. They've got maybe one or two from the online companies, and then they'll have one from us. But we want to show them the difference. We want to be able to show them, okay, here's what company 1, 2, and 3 offered, here's what we're offering, but here's also the traditional route. And that number sometimes is significant. It can be. Let's just say it was $15,000. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing is most people, when we really show them the true numbers and the net result, most of them are like, you know what? It's worth 10 showings to get $15,000 more dollars. I'm going to go the traditional route. But at least they have the option. And that's
and
really
it's not like they can't go in a different direction if need
100%,
be. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk about, CEO Spotlight. Nowadays, there is an expectation that people who are at the heads of companies have something that's a little away from the company, whether they're doing partnering with charities or they are out there doing various community events. What do you guys do to give back, you and your team?
Sure. So we're involved in I think it's 26 different organizations. So locally, we work with Tabitha House, which is a ministry that takes women that are getting out of prison and gets them reacquainted with their family. It's located in Summerfield. We kind of hit everything. So we also help an organization called Rough Love. So for all our pet lovers out there,
I see.
It's a pet rescue, which my wife is very much involved with that one as well. And so, we do different things. We support them, and whether it be surgeries for animals or relocation or whatever. There's several other organizations we do within maybe cancer research for kids. We do St. Jude. There's lots of different ones. A friend of mine started one called Sell a Home, Save a Child. And so a portion of sales that we have, we donate to them, and they impact orphans all around the world. Of course, I take a couple trips a year. I'll be going to Cuba. I usually go to Cuba once or twice a year. It's a country in which we've got, ability to travel in and out of through our organization. And so there's several projects that we're working on there. So for 20 years, we've always been involved, but we do global, but we also believe, the local impact. Greater Piedmont Teen Challenge is a drug and alcohol recovery center that we support. And we've actually had some of the guys come do internships and work at our office while they're in that program to get back on their feet. So there's a lot of great opportunities right within the triad. And so we know we can't do them all, but we certainly look at every one of them that come to us, and we try to figure out a way to say yes, and then or we figure out a way to go fund it if we can't. So
I'm going to ask you a little leading question into something I saw yesterday, but I want you to, as we wrap it up, to kind of put the Swami hat on.
Yeah.
All right. So yesterday, to avoid traffic on 68 out here by the station, I took the big loop, basically through some of the back roads adjacent to the station. And on Gallimore Dairy and that area over there, I saw no less than 10 different sites that are now for building. Some industrial, but a lot of housing. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at that area, but I'm also wondering, what is the future of real estate here in the Triad, maybe 5 to 10 years out? Because this is something you guys have to plan for.
Absolutely.
So if I'm somebody who owns a home, or maybe I own some property around here, I'm thinking of developing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What do I need to know about what you see for the future?
So I believe the Triad is prime for growth. Traffic in Raleigh, I know you can attest, maybe not as desirable. Of course, the hours you work, probably not so bad.
Great for me.
It's great for you.
I hear traffic reports, and I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
Right.
And I was just in D.C. all last week, and man, just don't, you know?
Right.
But yeah, everywhere is different. But that's not to say we can't have traffic around here. So,
Yeah.
you know, some of we talked about putting in the loop highway there in Winston, the work that they're doing currently.
Yes.
Stuff that Greensboro has planned. That's their prognosticating.
Yeah.
Yours is to figure out, okay, how do people who come to me win based on that?
Yeah. So one thing that we do see is we have a large migration from the Northeast that are retiring. So we've got a large portion of baby boomers that are going to leave the Northeast. So they're leaving Jersey, they're leaving Boston, D.C. area, New York. Okay, New York City in particular. Mainly because of high taxes.
Yeah.
They simply can't afford to stay there because of the tax burden that the cities, the schools, or the government, has established as that residence. So they're coming. Jersey in particular has 500,000 people a year leaving, and so the population of that state is going down. There's a portion of them that are coming to North Carolina. We want to migrate and filter those in. So right now, once a quarter, I go to upstate, and I've got my little circuit that I do up there. And so I go visit real estate companies up there and just establish that relationship so that they know, one, to get on their map, and two, that they have an actual personal local contact to send those people to here in the Triad. So whether it be, Oak Ridge, Summerfield, Winston-Salem, High Point, Greensboro, doesn't make any difference. We service all those areas, and they've got their agents, but also those owners up there have a connection with somebody locally that knows the local market. Mm-hmm. So I'm investing in going up there to make those relationships, and so because I do see that as a huge future for the Triad in particular. We're going to get a lot of retirees coming here. It's a perfect location. It's not crazy ridiculous if you wanted to drive. It's a 55-minute flight. Great thing is we have fantastic hospitals in the area. Between Brenner's and Duke, you're perfect.
Yeah.
You could be to the beach in 3 hours, the mountains in an hour and a half. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And as of right now, we don't have a tremendous traffic problem. Plus, we're building all these great shiny new highways. So
we love new highways.
We love new highways. So,
and if you get enough people from the Northeast, you get stores and shops that they themselves like. So it kind of spurs some of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're starting to see a good portion of the migration happen. And so the next 10 years, we know that, essentially, there's 2.5, 3 million people that are moving to North Carolina. And as much as we are competing with the beach and the mountains, and then of course, state government, Raleigh, and then banking and Charlotte, we're doing our best to sell the Triad as an option. Because you can still, if you leave early enough to get there and leave early enough before traffic, you can still go to Raleigh in a day and have a good time.
Yeah, I
love
the connectivity of North Carolina as somebody who splits my time between Raleigh and Greensboro, but also the beach and also the mountains.
Right.
Having all of that right here, I kind of avoid Charlotte, but having all of that right here is phenomenal. Last question as we wrap up the CEO Spotlight with Jason Bramblett. If somebody is sitting in Greensboro and hearing everything that you're saying right now, and they're trying to make that decision, okay, maybe we should sell our home, maybe we're moving elsewhere, maybe we're going to move out into the country to avoid that traffic you just brought up. Or from a timing standpoint, everyone says it's a great time. But this is a great time. Make the case for why people who are interested in being mobile with their real estate should be talking to an agent right now. Hopefully it's you, but an agent nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at all your options, because what we have at our disposal is master plans and where projects are moving. And so maybe as you were driving around, you just mentioned seeing these projects and this groundbreaking and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the house that you're looking at selling is in a perfect plan that it's not today, but in 10 years through development, the potential of that house doubling in value is probably realistic. Instead of selling that house, why don't we convert it to an asset that you can potentially rent? And then if you still want to move out to the country, great. And if we can figure out a way that financially makes sense, that turns that into a greater long-term asset for you, as opposed to just selling now, and then in 10 years you go back and look, hey, remember the house we sold 10 years ago? Yeah, it's worth double, right? Yeah. We can help you see down the road as to what is going on, and maybe it's in a situation where it could be going the other way. Maybe it's going to have a negative impact on it. Maybe right now the city landfill is 2 miles away from your home, but in 20 years it's going to be in your backyard through expansion, through the city growing. In Greensboro, it was interesting. We had a lot of people upset about FedEx coming in and the airport expansion and
NIMBY, man. NIMBY rules the world, not just in Greensboro, but everywhere.
Right, everywhere.
A grocery store.
Yeah.
I saw a grocery store get shut down at Publix.
Right.
In Raleigh over it not being a busy road. It's the only road.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, all of these things people are concerned about.
Yeah, and we want growth, and the only way you can get appreciation is with growth. That's it. That's the only way things change in value is with growth. So you can't necessarily expect the city to double and the airport to stay the same size, right? I mean, it just, just like the highways. If we didn't build the loops and we didn't build the new infrastructure, it'd be gridlock, right? And so, you have, and I will say, fortunately for our area, we're ahead of it. Where some areas they've waited so, not to say anything bad about Wilmington, but let's face it.
Oh, yeah.
Wilmington imploded with a huge influx of people in which they were not ready for, and they are lagging infrastructure big time. We're at least ahead of it here.
The South Loop in Greensboro is a prime example of that.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to drive right now.
It is. And
there's a lot of land right around it.
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to be in Raleigh when they opened up the toll road. The first day, as a matter of fact.
That about started a civil war in Raleigh.
Yeah, it really did.
Because the North Raleigh people don't pay for the road, but the South Wake County people did. And people swore that they weren't going to use it and they weren't going to do business. Well, guess what?
Yeah, and it's booming.
It is.
But my first experience on that was I was driving, it's a highway. There's nobody on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, did I go past the cones? Like, am I supposed to be on this road? And then, of course, you have those things where you're thinking, well, there's probably an overpass coming up. I wonder if it's finished. And so I'm doing like 40 on the road, because it's early morning, you can't quite see. And finally, another car comes by, and I'm like, okay, it is open. So, I go then. But I was the only vehicle on the entire road, and it was kind of eerie. Now
we did a bit on the radio about that.
Oh yeah,
about having picnics on it.
Oh, really?
Because it was that decimated, but people adapted to it, and so the adapt or die model, wherever it is important.
It is.
And I think that conversation is a good place to end. Is that you don't have to be 100%. Hey, I'm ready to sell my house right now. There is an advisory role that the agent can play for you as well.
Absolutely.
So a conversation.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we look at. I mean, really, what we want, who we want to talk to. If you want to talk to us, when's the perfect time? If you think you're going to sell between now and in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how far out we want to have a conversation. If you came to me today and said, hey Jason, I own this home here. I know in 5 years XYZ is going to happen or whatever. It's not too early to talk. I mean, we're going to come up with a plan. The other thing too is just to help you work out a maintenance plan. Let's say it's 3 years. We got 36 months, which is no time at all. I mean, 36 months is like that. And we could come up with a monthly plan of things that you can work toward in your home so that it's not crazy overwhelming the last 30 days that you're ready to put the house in the market, you're running around like a,
It's the worst. It's the worst if you do. And I'm a procrastinator, so it's a self-inflicted wound.
And so for the procrastinator, we can actually give you a punch list. I mean, I'll even call you every month and see, give you a report card if you want.
But, so you harass me?
Yeah,
okay.
We'll harass you if need be.
Like my mom in my room and the cleanliness of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you know what? It got done.
But it gets done. That's it. So to me, there's never a bad time to call. But let's if you're going to move in the future, let's be proactive. Because if you don't, then you're just reacting to everything. And reaction, there's a different price you pay when you react.
Absolutely.
So it can be very expensive to react to getting ready.
Well, more information is never bad information, and if you'd like more information, we'll put these on the bottom of the screen for you. JasonBramblett.com or 793-5590. And Jason Bramblett Real Estate. Jason Bramblett, appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And this has been CEO Spotlight.